Hi guys, welcome back to another video. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for your continued support, and drop a like on the video, and if you learned something new, drop a sub. It really helps out my channel a lot and costs you guys nothing. And as usual, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll guarantee to answer them within a day. Now, you're going to see on the top right hand corner of the screen right now, I'm going to put a card up that covers Shujinko and Liu Kang, their base kit stuff together on that video. So all you have to do is click on that video, go to the timestamp that says general information, and you guys will be completely caught up on what Shujinko does in this game. Because in this video, we're only going to talk about the Combat Pack 1 character matchups. So yeah, obviously the first one is going to be Shujinko against Ermac. Ermac gives Shujinko access to 4 unique moves. And as usual, we're going to start off with the first one, which is Down Back Kameo. You can see that it starts up in 18 frames and is minus 36 on block, so extremely punishable, and it does start up fairly quickly. If you do this move after Forward Kameo or Back Kameo, however, you can see the startup frames change to 11, so it goes from a fairly quick move to an extremely fast move. And this is going to be your main combo starter slash extender. As you guys are going to see, it's very simple. Forward Kameo, and you go into lift, and you can do a whole bunch of things from there. You can see that he also hangs in the air for an extremely long time. What you can actually do, I have to put the Shujinko on default here, is you can fully recharge your Kameo meter basically every time you use this move, because he's in the air for so long, and then obviously you continue the combo from there. And by the time the combo is finished, it's literally Shujinko has his entire Kameo meter back. So even though this move is super minus on block, it's your one of the best moves that Shujinko gets access to, purely because of time. It's much like Garrus's time stop. Obviously, Garrus's time stop is a little better because it literally holds them in place so you can get a 4-3. This isn't as good, but this is probably like top 5 moves that Shujinko even gets in the entire game. And don't worry about leaving Shujinko out during a Kameo like I just did, because even though Ermac has a teleport and he might be able to hit him, by the time, like I said, you guys finish the combo, his meter is going to be fully recharged, so he's not going to be able to punish him anyway. We move on to our next move, which is Down Back Kameo up. You can see this is Ermac's like float, and then it goes across the ground. I'll show you guys that it does travel full screen. So there you go. And obviously it is range dependent, just like a projectile in fact. Even though I know it doesn't look like a projectile and it's like a ground pound, it works like a projectile in terms of frame data. So keep that in mind. But let's go into the frame data up close. You can see it starts up in 36 frames and is minus 19. So you definitely do not want to use this on block at all. If you do this after front or back Kameo, you guys are going to see that it does not change the frame data startup at all, which means Ermac has a huge gap in which you can do the move on block and he can just interrupt you, right? And if he wants, he can just block the move and also punish you. It's totally up to him. As you guys are going to see, you can interrupt with 1-2. I even did it extremely late. You guys can see that you can interrupt this with back 2-4. You can see that Shujinko barely misses just off the ground. You can also punish with standing 3. And you can also punish with 4-2. So those are all your punishes to interrupt this fake on block type thing. Obviously, you know, you can always just block it and punish. Just keep in mind that it is a low, so you do have to block low if you do plan on blocking it. The next move we get access to is Down Back Kameo down. And this move is pretty interesting. You can see it's not on attack, it only works on you. and it starts on 53 frames. We're going to get on to what it does in a second. But if you do this move after Back Kameo or Forward Kameo, you can see it starts up dramatically faster in 12 frames. But this move has additional recovery, which means Ermac can punish you if you do try and activate this on block, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. You can see that I use Ermac's slowest punish in his arsenal and literally still punished him, which is Forward 2. Forward 2 starts up in 23 frames, right? So even though the startup is extremely quick, you can see that there's a lot of recovery to the move that results in a punish. Now, an interesting thing about this move is you could purposely lose the trade on block. And what do I mean by this is, if you do the move after Forward or Back Kameo, right, you can see it does start off fast, but it has the extremely long recovery frames. However, we're going to get into this move, which is, instead of taking damage to your health, you take damage to your super meter first. And I'll show you guys that. So you guys are going to see that he took damage to his super meter and no damage to his health. Even if the combo keeps going, you guys are going to see that, we'll just do that for example. He only took damage at the end because the timer for his aura from Shujinko actually ran out. But look at how much super meter he lost compared to his health. And that's why you're kind of using this move. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering how long this goes for. It activates for 7.5 seconds. So you have that much time in which you are going to lose your super meter instead of your health. But I'm sure you guys are wondering, what happens when I have no super meter? Good question. So you guys are going to see that I can only do this by having one bar of super meter on each side because of combo reasons and settings reasons. I don't know why you can't pick a specific amount of super meter for each side, but the NRS get onto that. But you guys are going to see that once I fully deplete Liu Kang's super meter, that he's going to take a lot less damage than usual. You can see he only took basically 11% damage, 11.4% damage. That is not a lot. So even though if you have no super meter left, this move is still doing something for you as Liu Kang. It's still doing something, even though if you do get hit and you do not have super meter. This move also has the option to be cancelled. As you guys are going to see, I'm going to go down here. You can see this move is called Death's Embrace, and it has the option to be cancelled. Now, this doesn't cost any super meter or anything like that, but you guys are going to see that once I activate this move, I have to wait till the startup frames are finished, which obviously if you do it, the startup and recovery frames are finished, I should say. As you can see, Shujinko comes out and then I can do it. It's pretty quick. If you do it after the front or back cameo, it happens a lot faster. But you can see it's still relatively the same amount of time. I can't do it any much quicker than I would do it otherwise. And even if you're being comboed, for example, you can cancel this while you are being hit. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. You guys are going to see that he's going to get punished here and then deactivate his aura. And he's still taken the normal damage as soon as the aura is gone, and he stopped taking damage to his super meter, so you can literally still cancel it even if you're being comboed by Ermac. Like I said, the only reason you would ever want to cancel this move per se, because it is extremely good in that it saves you from dying and it saves you from taking a lot of damage, is if you don't want to lose any more super meter. So just keep that in mind. I know this move has a weird interaction. Like, think about it like this. If you're getting comboed and you've lost, let's say you have 2 bars of meter, you lose 1 bar and you purposely cancel your aura so you can keep 1 bar. The Ermac player should put 2 and 2 together and figure out that you're probably going to use an armored wake up. I'm just saying that is a mind game. You could obviously not wake up with an armored move and just wake up buttons and take your turn back if they're into respecting that so much. But yes, that is just a mind game you can have on wake up with this move even though you're being comboed. So yeah, that's kind of like nothing else that we have in the game right now. And I know this doesn't really apply to Liu Kang, but if you go into the menu here, you're going to see that this is only for the Ermac mains. If you pick him with Shujinko, you don't have access to Death's Embrace with Shujinko against another Ermac in a mirror match. You can only activate it with your own original move and not Shujinko. I don't know why they made that the case, but they did. It must be some bug, some mad glitchy bug must happen in the game when that happens or something, because I don't see another reason to stop that from happening. But yeah, let's move on to our last move. And the last move for Ermac is going to be down Forward Kameo with Shujinko here. You can see that he gives him access to the push on block move that Ermac gets. You guys can see that he can start up in 26 frames and is -7 on block. However, if you do this move after front, if you guys do this move after front or back Kameo, you guys can see it starts up in 19 frames rather than your 26. So it's a lot faster. It can no longer be armored through, which the original version, if you did it like this, could absolutely be armored through. And you're going to see that this move has an option to be held down. Just real quick, -7 is safe against Ermac on block. So we're going to see that you can hold this move down and it changes the properties every time you hold it down, right? I'm going to tell you guys that there's different timings to this, as you can see. And the most important thing is that there's 3 timings. There's one that's -7, there's one that's +3, and there's one that is +13. Obviously they all have a little bit of a difference in pushback, but I'm going to put this up on screen right now. You guys are going to see that this is all of the frame data and the counterplay in terms of what Shujinko and Ermac's interaction is with this move. You're going to see that 19 to 36 frames is -7 with no pushback. However, from 19 to 25 frames it can be armored through but not interrupted. 26 to 36 frames can be interrupted by Ermac's 1-2. 37 to 66 frames is +3 with a small amount of pushback on block and obviously still interrupted with a few more moves instead of just 1-2. And 67 frames is +13 with a really big pushback, and obviously that can be interrupted by probably Ermac's slowest move in the entire game. So just keep that in mind. Those are your frame data. That is your frame data sheet for this move basically. Also, I want to quickly mention that these frame data on your frame data sheet on screen right now is after front or back Kameo. So it is the 19 frame startup minimum, not 26. And this move also has another thing that you can cancel it. Obviously you guys see that I hit the amplify button during the charge up. Make sure you're holding the button, the Kameo button down to cancel it. But if you do it like this, for example, you can see that it doesn't really work straight away. It's not as fast as it should be. If it worked like right now, basically, during the startup of like basically 7 frames or something, that'd be like really good. But instead, you guys can see that it literally has the shortest frame of 12. Now, obviously, yeah, you can do with that information what you will. It also costs 2 from meter, but it's a 12 frame startup on the cancel minimum. So this means that Ermac can just punish this with 1-2 and take his turn back and combo you. So just keep that in mind. Now, do I recommend that you use Shujinko against Ermac? Yeah, I do. It's not, listen, it's not the best thing ever. You get 3 moves that are supposed, you get 2 moves that are supposed to combo, and then you have a move that stops you from taking damage basically, and then you have a push block move which is safe against Ermac if you charge it the least amount of time. If you're going to use Shujinko against Ermac, you're going to find that Down Back Kameo and Down Back Kameo Up are really good combo moves because they get you a lot of free recharge on Shujinko's meter. The Down Back Kameo move that stops you from taking damage is also quite good if you know how to use it really well and you use your brain just a little bit. The push on block move is a bit gimmicky, I will be honest. However, if the Ermac player doesn't know the frame data, then, well, yeah, he is in for a very not fun time. Awesome. And yeah, that's it, and let's move on to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Shujinko against Homelander. Homelander also gives Shujinko access to 4 of his moves. And the first one being Down Back Kameo. You can see that it starts up in 39 frames, so it is extremely long startup, but is plus 22 on lock. Now, if you do this move after front or back Kameo, you can see that it starts up a little bit faster at 31 frames. However, I'm sure you guys can put 2 and 2 together. This move can be interrupted on block. So we have something very interesting here, and it's the way Homelander blocks and decides to punish is the outcome of this move. I'm going to show you guys exactly what that looks like. If you guys see that Homelander stand blocks and dashes up with 1-2, that he gets the full-on punish. This move is quite weird as it depends on Homelander's defense, and this is a huge knowledge check for Homelander players. But you guys are going to see that I can stand block, dash up and get a 1-2, which is a clear punish. However, if I try and dash up with 2-1, you can see that Liu Kang gets the block in time. So standing 2 being 10 frames is actually too slow. If you try and do the same thing with standing 3 or standing 4, you can see that he gets the block in time. So this is not a punish, and the only standing block punish that you have is actually 1-2. However, this changes when Homelander decides to block low. If he blocks low, he gets a lot less pushback from Liu Kang's string and Shujinko, and then is able to punish a little faster. So you guys can see that I can down block and dash up and get a 1-2. You guys can see that I can down block and get a punish with 2-1. And I can also down block and punish and get a forward 1. You can obviously combo a forward 1, not forward 1-2, but you guys get the point. And forward 1 is 11 frames. then that is pretty much the gap that you have to work with. Standing 3 is a bit too slow in that scenario, and standing 4 is still too slow as well. If you want a very easy punish as Homelander, you can stand block with back 1 and then answer back with back 1. This hits Shujinko and Liu Kang at the same time, starts up in 10 frames, and he reaches forward, which is the most important thing. So he hits both of them and gets the punish. You guys are going to see that you also get a reversal punish as Homelander here, which is back forward 2-1 and back forward 2-2. You can see you get the reversal punish if you're quick enough. However, if you try and do this into back forward 2-3, Liu Kang gets the block in time. And if you try and do it back forward 2-4, is also too slow. So yeah, just keep that in mind for when you're trying to take your turn back against this move. This move also has the option to be held down. You can see that Shujinko stays in the air for an extremely long time. He's still there. And until a very long time, I've been holding the cameo button down that entire time, he will eventually do the eye lasers. But this means that you could do this after anything, right? You could even set this up realistically after a combo and then do this and then go to pressure him and then use it like a Kenshi sort of Sento move, you know, where he covers the gap after your move. So I knock him down basically, he does a move and I keep going. You can also do ridiculous things like this. Right, and he's just got to deal with it, basically. You can also do it after this. Right, there's a lot of nutty things that you can do by setting up this move. And it's pretty easy to set up, I'm sure you guys will figure it out, it's actually not that hard. As for how long you can hold down this move, you can hold it down for 10 seconds. And obviously within that time, you can let go of it at any time and he will do the laser move. This can be used after a hit confirm as well, right? So let's say I open Homelander up with a grounded string, and then because I have the frames, right, you can also do it after a front cameo and then do it straight into it. He's going to be in the jailed state where he has to block your next move, and then you can keep pressuring him if you like. So that is also another setup that you can do. I'll just quickly show you guys what that looks like. So let's say I open Homelander up, I cancel into my down back cameo, and then I try and pressure him off that grounded state. Right, and then like if he's in a low like scenario, he's just going to get chipped out, for example, if he doesn't flawless block anything. So that's also another way you can use this move. And last thing about this move, it is your main combo starter and main combo extender that you're going to be using against Homelander with Shujinko. The next move you get access to is Down Back Kameo Down. And this is Homelander's basically back forward 2-1 flying punch thing. You can see it starts up pretty fast at 12 frames and is minus 13 on block. If you do this move after front or back cameo, it does not change the frame data properties in any way. This move also has the option to be held down for whatever reason. I don't understand why, but I guess they thought, hey, it's just cool. So yeah, you can also hold it down to a maximum of 29 frames. I don't know why this is a thing. Like, if it was that it hits him while he's jailed right after the forward cameo and he's forced to block it, then it's like +5 or something, that would be great. But it's still, as you can see, minus 13. So I don't really understand why this is the thing, but I'm sure in terms of your main character's circumstance, it's not useful on Liu Kang, especially in the combos. You just use it either straight away. But I'm sure it will be useful with a few other main characters rather than Liu Kang. And this is like your main combo extender from when your opponent is already in an airborne state. On to the next move, which is going to be Down Forward Kameo. You're going to see that it is a projectile. It is Homelander's eye lasers. Hits high, starts up in 25 frames, and is -7 on block. Now, it's a projectile, so obviously the further back you go, the less minus and the more plus it is, so keep that in mind. On block, obviously. And this move into front or back Kameo changes the startup frames to 17 frames, which means it can't even be armored through. However, it is a high projectile, so I'm sure you guys are wondering whether it jails on block. So does it jail on block after Back Kameo? You guys are going to see that it in fact does. So this is a good pressure tool, and it's -7, which means Homelander actually can't punish this. You can see that I'm going to try and down one as well, right? It just doesn't work. So it does jail on block, and this move can't be armored through besides the front or back Kameo input. So it is some pressure that you have against Homelander, and remember that it's -7, which he can't punish on block either, and he's forced to block it. So you do lose your turn, but if the Homelander doesn't have the knowledge for this, he is going to regret not knowing it. On to the next move. Now we have Down Forward Kameo Down. This is a low projectile. You can see that it starts up in 23 frames and is -18 on block. Obviously, it's being a full on projectile, the less minus it is as you go back. It does not end up being plus at any point, even from full screen. Obviously this is super punishable, but if you do this move after front or back Kameo, you're going to see that it does not change the frame data properties in any way. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, do I suggest that you use Shujinko against Homelander? Not really. I'll be honest that the damage is extremely good. I will admit that. You guys will see in the combos at the end of the video that the damage is extremely high. But in terms of what you get on block, it's a bit mediocre. Everything is minus, or it has a gap that can be punished in the right way. You know, it's minus on block. The only move that you get on block that is remotely good is Down Forward Kameo, the high projectile, but even then you're still losing your turn if Homelander knows the matchup. So yeah, not a huge recommendation, but I would say the combos are extremely fun, so keep that in mind, and we'll move on to the next one. Now we're going to move on to Shujinko against Omni-Man. Omni-Man also gives Shujinko access to four of his unique moves. So you can see that the Combat Pack 1 characters have a theme of giving Shujinko 4 moves here. And you guys are going to see that the first one is Down Back Kameo. This gives him access to his like vermin stance, I'm pretty sure, and then it's like an extender that he can use. Don't quote me on that, but as you can see, it starts up in 37 frames and is -14 on block. If you do this move after forward or back Kameo, it starts up 10 frames faster at 27 frames. You can see that when it's blocked, it only hits once. However, if this move is not blocked, that it does hit twice. And launches him obviously for an extender. Now, this move is quite literally only for combos. It's minus on block, so don't use it on that. And yeah, it's literally your main combo extender. And let's move on to the next move, which is down, back cameo, down. This move is Omni-Man's overhead from Verminine stance, I'm pretty sure. But it starts up in 36 frames, as you can see, and is +1 on block. Trust me, do not think much of the +1, because you are never ever going to pull this off if the Omni-Man player knows what they're doing. If you do this move after front or back cameo, you can see that it actually doesn't change any of the frame data properties. So keep that in mind. And it being a 36 frame startup obviously has an interruptible gap. So what can it be interrupted by? So you guys are going to see that this move can be interrupted by 1-2. You can see when Liu Kang gets hit by Omni-Man, that Shujinko just falls out of the sky and does not carry on doing the move. So it can also be punished with back 1, it can also be punished with 2-2, and it can also be punished with forward 4, which is all main Omni-Man strings that you want to get, basically. And other than that, obviously don't use this move on block, I just showed you guys not to. And this is like your main grounded combo starter. You guys will see that in the combo section. On to the next move. The next move you get access to is down, back cameo, up. You're gonna see that it is a mid that starts up in 24 frames and is +2 on block. If you guys do this move after front or back cameo, you guys are going to see that it doesn't change the frame data in any way. Still 24 frames on startup and +2 on block. This move cannot be interrupted by Omni-Man, not even with his 1-2. It looks like it can be, but it cannot. But this does have an armorable gap, so if Omni-Man wants, he can armor through it. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So you guys are going to see that I try and interrupt it with 1-2, which is his fastest button. Doesn't work. I try and interrupt it with down 1. I also get launched for it as well. So the +2 that you get off this actually isn't half bad. However, you can also just armor through it if the Omni-Man player knows about it. So, and there's a lot of time to decide when to armor through it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And you might be thinking, oh my god, it's +2 on block. How do I even keep up the +2 in the mid-screen? Don't worry, I got you. If you do this as a full on block string with back cameo, right, you can actually check him with down 3. Down 3 starts up in 8 frames and becomes a 6 frame low, basically, if you input it straight away. So he literally doesn't have a way to respond back in the mid-screen. Obviously in the corner you have a 6 frame and a 7 frame and all this and all that he can't challenge. If he thinks he's cheeky in the mid-screen, you can always check him with down 3, and the down 3 ends up being 6 frames because you're +2. So yeah, and then you know, if you do hit him out of it, he's jailed, and then you can go into a different block string. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This move is only good for certain combos. And let's move on to the last and final move, which is down forward cameo. This move is Omni-Man's clap, and you can see it starts up in 23 frames and is -8 on block. Also see that it's mid. This move is not dependent on range, however, so if I do this in front of his face, -8 punishable. If I do this from maximum range, just here, -8 not punishable. So keep that in mind when you do use this move. When you do this move after front or back cameo, you're going to see that it starts up in 13 frames rather than 8. There's no armorable gap and there's no way to interrupt this move. So you guys are going to see that there's no way to interrupt this after front or back cameo. Obviously, if it's front Kameo, you can just duck and try and interrupt with 1-2. But after back Kameo, it's a full-on block string. And -8. And -8 from here, you can actually see he can't punish in time. You guys can actually see that you can punish this block string after back Kameo with down 1 as Omni-Man. So that is taking your turn back fully, and Liu Kang has to respect that. And that is after down blocking. If you stand block, you don't get this. And you can't even dash up and get your 1-2. It just doesn't recover in time. Obviously, if he does this move raw instead of after front or back Kameo, that you can armor through it every single time because it's 23 frame startup, but you cannot interrupt it. So keep that in mind. And yeah, that's Omni-Man in a nutshell. Would I recommend that you use Shujinko against Omni-Man? No, I don't recommend it. It would be cool if down forward Kameo was like -7 or -6, that would be really cool. That way, if the Omni-Man player like down blocked and then tried to take his turn back with down 1, you're still safe. But obviously I showed you guys that the Omni-Man player, if they have the knowledge, they can punish that move. They can also armor through down back Kameo up. They can interrupt down back Kameo down. And down back Kameo is just minus on block. So you don't really get that greater moves against Omni-Man. Yeah, look, is it fun? I wouldn't even say that is fun to use against Omni-Man. But hey, who's going to stop you if you want to try it? Let's move on to the next one. Now we're going to move on to Shujinko against Peacemaker. And you guys are going to see that yet again Shujinko gets access to 4 moves. And obviously these are Peacemaker's moves. The first one you get access to is down back Kameo, which is the Explodey McPlodey move. I don't know what it's called. But you can see that it's a mid and starts up in 21 frames and is -21 on block. It is slightly dependent on range, so you guys can see if I do it from like here, it's -19 rather than -21, right? But still, I'm pretty sure after the Peacemaker nerfs that this dude is not going to be punishing -19 from max range, which should be around here. Yeah, there we go. -18. That's the lowest I've ever gotten it. Now, if you do this move after front or back Kameo, you can see that the startup frames go from 21 to 10. So it starts up extremely quickly and there is no gap. At maximum range, I said that Peacemaker probably can't punish this move, so yeah, keep that in mind. Obviously don't do this move on block, fully punishable. And this is your main combo starter / extender. Moving on to the next move. We have down back Kameo down. You can see that it is a high and it is Peacemaker's Torpedo move. It starts up in 16 frames and is -12 on block with a tiny bit of pushback. -12 on block with a bit of pushback still is punishable by Peacemaker. Now, if you use front or back Kameo, you're going to see that it doesn't change the frame data properties in any way. And it is a high, so I'm sure you guys are wondering whether it jails on block. And the answer to your question is yes, it does jail on block. You can even try and down 1 it, it doesn't work. And this got changed recently. The last time I actually checked this, it was duckable, but they've changed it to jail on block now. So it's still -12, right? So you can still just dash up and punish, right? I'm a bit slow there. You can still dash up and punish and get your, you know, after the block string, which because it's -12, you can literally just dash up punish with 1-2. You might be thinking that, hey, oh, there's a counter to this move where if he does after front or back Kameo, you can use your own armored Torpedo to get through this. And previously you would have been correct. However, after Peacemaker's nerf, you can see that you end up trading. And even though Liu Kang takes a fair amount of damage, which is 12%, Peacemaker himself ends up taking 15% damage. So yeah, it's not a trade that works out in his favor. Obviously don't do this when you're low on health against him, to make sure you end up winning it, and you don't get knocked down, which means you're actually plus in the situation. I know he gets knocked to full screen, but if you did this in the corner, you win the trade every single time and you get to pressure him. So just keep that in mind. One thing I wanted to say to NetherRealm Studios, if they even watch this video, is please make this a down forward input. The only reason I don't like it being a down back cameo down input is because it takes up a whole freaking cameo meter. Why? It doesn't even combo. It doesn't start a combo. It doesn't extend a combo. It just ends it. Why is it not a down forward cameo input like this? Or just make it a variant of down forward cameo, since there is already one that covers down forward cameo. Just make it a down forward cameo down or something, or down forward cameo up, and let it take half a cameo meter. It's not worth a full meter, by the way, of doing. So yeah, just keep that in mind, and let's go on to the next move. We're going to go on to the next move, which is down back cameo up. You can see that this move starts up in 28 frames and is plus 21 on block, a bit like Omni-Man's move, but it's a lot more plus than that. If you do this move after forward or back cameo, you're going to see that it does not change the start up frames. Obviously, there is a gap here. So what can Peacemaker interrupt this with? Peacemaker can interrupt this with 1-2. He can also interrupt this with forward 1-1. He can interrupt this with 2-2. He can interrupt this with back 2-4. He can interrupt this with forward 4. So forward 4 is a bit longer, but you guys can see that it is possible. So just keep that in mind when you use this move. This move is also your main grounded combo starter. So if you hit him with a forward 4-3, 1-2, all that sort of thing, you cancel into forward cameo and do this move, and you get a lot of damage out of it. On to our last move, which is down forward cameo. You can see that it is a high projectile, 25 frames on startup, and is -8 on block. It being a projectile does mean, yes, that it is dependent on range. The more you move back, the less minus it is, and the more plus it becomes. So keep that on mind on block. If you do this move after front or back cameo, however, you can see that it changes the startup frames to 16 frames on startup. This is a high projectile, so I'm sure you guys are wondering whether it jails on block. And the answer to that is yes, you can. You can see that I'm going to try and down one as well, just can't do anything. And you also can't armor through the gap as well, that doesn't work. Obviously if you do the, through the front cameo or back cameo input you can, but there is no gap in between front cameo and down forward cameo. So keep that in mind. It cannot be ducked and punished basically on block. Now you can see that this move is actually pretty hard to punish because it has some pushback even if you down block. It hits Shujinko. Peacemaker doesn't have a way to actually straight up punish this move. He hits Shujinko every time, and Liu Kang can literally blow Peacemaker up with a back 2-3 for that and make him lose half his life if he really wanted to, because the damage with this is insane. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Peacemaker. Do I recommend that you use Shujinko against Peacemaker? Yeah, a little bit. Only a little bit. Not too much, I will admit. The combos do extreme damage. You guys are going to see that in the combos, but it does a lot of damage. The mid-screen damage is it's okay. You get what you get. But in the corner, you get some ridiculous things. And the down forward cameo if the Peacemaker doesn't know, which I'm guaranteeing you that most of them will not, because nobody plays Peacemaker after the nerf basically, that if they try and punish this move, they're gonna eventually notice that they can't, and by the time that happens, you're gonna hit them with a few combos and they'll be dead. So just keep that in mind. It is fun. It is not the best use of Shujinko, but against Peacemaker, it's kinda worth it. Not all the way. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. So now we have Shujinko against Quan Chi. And, well, if you thought we were going to keep the trend going of Shujinko gets access to 4 moves against a specific character in Combat Pack 1, you have been proven wrong. He only gets 3 moves against Quan Chi. However, this matchup, I'm really going to show you how bad Quan Chi is. But the first move you get access to is the Bone Cage, which is down Back Kameo. You're going to see that the block advantage actually doesn't come up. And this is because the game doesn't know what to do after Bone Cage. However, I'm here to tell you that you recover so fast, even if you did it like this. There is a gap, obviously, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Even if you do it like this, you can see that you recover so fast after this. Like, just have a look. It's almost instant after the Bone Cage when Shujinko has finished summoning it. Now, if you do this move after front or back cameo, it starts up in 22 frames, so it ends up being a lot faster on startup. So you guys are going to see that if I try to interrupt here, I can with 1-2, even after back or front cameo, right? You can also interrupt with forward 4, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can. There you go, with forward 4 as well. Now, let's move on to the other part of this move, which is it can be done at different ranges. This move has an option of back of the normal. You can see that the far version doesn't quite go full screen, right? You've got to be around here for that with the far version. You guys can see that it gets a very far version and just clips Quan Chi there. You can see that the startup frames for all of these moves is actually 15 frames on startup. If you did this after back cameo and then did the back version because your opponent, because Quan Chi is blocking, what you can do is make it start up in 15 frames. And now you can see that Quan Chi can't interrupt this move in his favor. You guys see that if I do the close version, the back version, I do get a hit on Liu Kang here, but I get full comboed for trying to interrupt with 1. So, if you're wondering why Quan Chi is bad, this is one case for it. The only true punish he has for the back version on block is the literal armored move he gets, and he also can do that for the front or back input as well. But if you do this move in the back version, you can see that Quan Chi literally can't do much about it besides trying to hammer through it. And if he decides to block it, Liu Kang can always check him with 1-2, back 2, and down 1 in the mid screen. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure Quan Chi can't even take his turn back after he's blocked. So yeah, that's just insane. And another thing about this move is it is your main grounded combo starter. Moving on to the next move, we have down Forward Kameo. You're going to see that it is a high projectile, 22 frames on startup and -1 on block. This is a projectiles, so obviously the further back you go, the less minus and the more plus it is. You can see it gets plus very quickly. And if you do this move after front or back cameo, you're going to see that the startup frames change to 14, which is pretty quick. Now, it is a high projectile, so I'm sure you guys are going to be wondering whether it jails on block or not. So does it jail after back cameo? It does, right? So Quan Chi's only option is to armor through the back or forward cameo input, right? Which is this. But if he doesn't do that, he's forced to block the entire string after back cameo. And is -1. Let me tell you something about this character. Do you see this? His down 1 is 9 frames on startup. You see this? This is 8 frames on startup. You being a 6 frame character as Liu Kang, Li Mei or Kung Lao, being -1 in this situation with Shujinko against Quan Chi means you're actually +1, which means if Liu Kang does this entire block string and I don't decide to armor through the front or back cameo part, his plus, he can check me with a 7 frame down 1, which I will trade with. If I try and interrupt or take my turn back with a high or mid, I lose my turn because he has a 6 frame high, which becomes against you basically a 4 frame high, so you can't do anything against it. And if you're too slow, he can just check you with a back 2, you know. So Quan Chi really sucks, and by the time this video comes out, hopefully he does get a buff. But at the time of recording, literally Quan Chi can't do anything about this move against a 6 frame character. Against a 7 frame character, at least he has something, but 6 frames, you have no chance. And now we move on to our last move for Quan Chi, which is down forward cameo down. This is, as you can see, Quan Chi's portal stomp, which is his armored move. Obviously you don't get the armor, but you can see it starts up in 25 frames and is -21 on block. If you do this move after front or back cameo, you're going to see that doesn't change the startup properties or frame data properties in any way. This move is an overhead, so keep that in mind. This move, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't give you much. The only viable way to get something out of this move, in terms of this move from full screen, there are a few things that you can do besides check Quan Chi, but Quan Chi gets a few things out of it. So first of all, you get a free portal summon, which every character in the game can't do anything about. Even if they have main character with Shujinko, he gets a free portal summon every single time. And if you do this move from full screen, he can actually punish you with a standing fall. So just keep that in mind as well. Now, that is it for Quan Chi's moves. Do I recommend that you use Shujinko against Quan Chi? Absolutely. You can. If you're playing Liu Kang, Li Mei, Kung Lao, you absolutely bully this character. It is straight up unfair for him. Unless he tries to get the zone up on you, which against Liu Kang isn't even half of a problem. Against Li Mei or Kung Lao, I'm not 100% sure about how that goes. But against Liu Kang, bro, you're winning this matchup. It's almost like an 8-2 matchup. Honestly, it's almost an 8-2 matchup because he has to spend armor to even get through pretty much everything that you do against him, which is insane. So yeah, absolutely do recommend that you use Shujinko against Quan Chi. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay guys, so we're finally going to move on to our last breakdown of the video. This is going to be Shujinko against Takeda, of course, and you're going to notice that Shujinko gets access to 3 moves and technically 4, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's move on to our first move, which is Down Back Kameo. You guys are going to see that this is Takeda's basically Torpedo kick. When you do the normal version, it actually misses up close and it goes a bit further. But you can do this move at different ranges, so you can do a close version, you can do like the normal version like I did before, and you can do a almost full screen version. That was my bad. There we go. And you can see the frame data doesn't really change no matter where you do it. So it is 41 frames on startup by itself. So if you were to do it like this, it has a huge gap and is minus 14 on block. If you were to do it after forward or back cameo, you can see it starts a little bit faster in 34 frames, but it's still minus 14 on block. Please listen to me when I say this. Do not use this move on block ever. You're fully punishable if they block it, and it has a huge gap which Takeda can interrupt with probably slowest button, like standing full or something ridiculous like that. So yeah, you're going to eat a lot of damage if you end up using this move on block, so please don't do it. Other than that, this move is basically going to be used for 2 combos, and I'm pretty sure there were Fatal Blow combos, and that is pretty much it. That's all you use this move for. Only hit confirm it. That is it. Let's move on to the next move, which is Down Back Kameo Down. You can see that Takeda borrows the whip stance, which has all the follow-ups like Takeda's version does, and we'll get into that in a second. But you can see it starts up in 19 frames and is minus 18 on block on the first hit. If you do this move after front or back cameo, you can see it doesn't change the frame data properties in any way at all. So keep that in mind. And obviously you get the 2 extensions of this. You have Down Back Kameo Down Kameo Kameo, and then you have Down Back Kameo Down Kameo Down Kameo. So let's talk about the launching one first, which is Down Back Kameo Down Kameo Kameo. I know it's a real mouthful, but you know, we're just gonna get through it. You can see that he got minus 14, and that's because I delayed it a little actually. If you press it in the quickest fashion possible, you're going to see that it's always going to be minus 16 if you do this version. So yes, like I said, if you delay the buttons a little bit, just a little bit, the punish becomes a little bit harder, and there's a bit more of a gap in between every single hit, in which Takeda could just punch Shujinko. But if you do it in the fastest startup possible, he can't interrupt it and he has to block it, but you're also minus 16, so do keep that in mind. Now, what if you do the Down Kameo version at the end? Well, this is what it looks like. You can see the last hit comes out in 29 frames, which is a huge gap. And I'll be honest, this move is pretty range dependent on how Liu Kang gets punished by Takeda. If you do this move off a string, you're going to see that it causes a little bit of pushback. And the frame data actually proves that no matter which input Takeda does after blocking the final hit, he actually can't punish you. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. Punish with back forward 2, for example. You can see it comes out extremely late. You guys are going to see that I'm going to try and punish him with forward 2. That also doesn't work. I'm also going to try and punish him with a weird down poke that Takeda has. And it also doesn't punish either. But there is a way that Takeda can consistently punish you even after a string, and that is using 1-2 to get through the very last hit and just straight up interrupting Shujinko. And that is what I'm gonna display for you guys. So you guys can see I hit Shujinko in the process. Liu Kang is still stuck in the animation because Shujinko hasn't finished the animation, and you get the full on punish with 1-2, and then you can cancel into all the, you know, fancy Takeda combo stuff. So that is your counterplay as a Takeda player against that move, even though it's meant to be safe on block, which it is if you block the final hit. But I just showed you guys that you can interrupt the last hit and get the punish. Now, this is even easier to do in the corner, so keep that in mind as well. And unlike Takeda's version, if you flawless block the last hit, it does not change the frame data. Liu Kang is still safe on block against you, even though you flawless block the last hit. You straight up cannot punish him after this. You can say it just takes forever, and I'm still stuck in block stun. So yes, that is down back cameo down in a nutshell. Yeah, it's like your main combo, mid-screen combo starter, I would say that, off like your grounded strings. And that's about it pretty much with this move. You guys know the counterplay now, and yeah, it's not a bad move, but you know, it's not great either. On to the next one. And the last move you get as Shujinko against Takeda is down forward Kameo, and you get the Shuriken. Now believe me when I say this is the source that most people would talk about in a character that you get as Shujinko. This is one of the best moves you probably get as Shujinko out of the entire cast, is straight up this Shuriken. Now you can see it starts up in 30 frames and it is currently missing on Takeda. So there is a close input, there is a normal input, and obviously if you go full screen there's a far input. So all that out of the way, what is this move doing up close for you? You can see that the block advantage actually doesn't come up, but I did work it out. This move is -1 on block against Takeda when you're using this. And if you use it after front or back cameo, it starts up in 21 frames. So it has an armorable gap. If the Takeda player wants to deal with that, they could also armor through the front or back cameo input. So keep that in mind, as usual. But after this, you as the Liu Kang player are completely safe at -1. Now, what is the options as Takeda to take your turn back here? If you do a standing 1 and Liu Kang does a standing 1, you actually trade. However, your most safe punish, or the safest way to, I should say, to take your turn back is a down 1. Because if he does a standing 1, you duck it and you hit him, which is a punish. And if he tries to down 1 you and be cheeky and mash, if you do the down 1 properly, you will always beat him, because you and his down 1 are 7 frames and you're 1 frame faster than he is because he's -1. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. So you guys are going to see, if I do a standing 1 here against Liu Kang and he does a standing 1, we just straight up trade and we both hit each other in the face. However, if he tries to do the standing 1 right, he can always down 1, that's a punish. And if he does a down 1 himself, you're always going to beat him to it because you're faster than him. So down 1 is the safest way to take your turn back against him if he decides to try and take advantage of the -1. And the Shuriken that detonates just like this, when you do this in the corner, it actually starts off combos for you. And it is one of the best combo extenders / starters you get in the game, because it doesn't scale very much and it only takes half a cameo meter, which means when you go to recharge Shujinko, you need like half of the time to recharge him. And if you do basically a meterless combo, you get half of your cameo meter back already. I'll just show you what that looks like. So you guys are going to see that I'm going to combo with the Shuriken and then keep it going, and then call Shujinko, and then his Kameo meter's back already, and I'll forward for you your 50% meterless for only half a Kameo meter. So yeah, this is really one of the best moves that you do get. Now you get another move which is called the Smart Shuriken, and all you have to do is actually hold the Kameo button down. You can see the Shuriken stays on the floor underneath Takeda, and it will stay there for 7 seconds, and if you don't do anything, it obviously disappears like it just did. This has the exact same frame data properties as the normal Shuriken, except it does not detonate instantly. It starts up in 31 frames, and if you do it after front or back Kameo, it starts up in 21 frames. So exactly the same frame data, except it has no block advantage because it doesn't detonate instantly. This move is used to set up the opponent for plus frames in the corner with Liu Kang, and it is extremely good. Now, the thing is, you do have to sacrifice a little bit of damage from your previous combo because you want Shujinko to hit them with a back Kameo into it, so when you go to meter your opponent, you can do it with whichever move you want to, even forward 4, which is your slowest mid. So I'm going to show you what this setup looks like, and then I'll talk about the rest of it for you. So you guys are going to see that I'm going to use a simpler combo than usual, set it up, and then I can detonate it with the normal Shuriken after the setup. And this setup are done after any string into the detonation of the Smart Shuriken always leaves you +4. Literally as +4 as Liu Kang, you can force your opponent to do anything. You have a 6 frame button which is unchallenged. You have a 10 frame mid which becomes a 6 frame mid, unchallenged. And you have a 7 frame down 1 which literally is not challenged either. So if your opponent decides to do anything after being plus in that setup, they literally die. They literally die and they get opened up, and Liu Kang's damage in the corner is ridiculous, as you guys all know, so your opponent's going to just die. Now, the full setup does take a full Kameo meter because you're using half a Kameo meter to use the Smart Shuriken, and then you're using half a Kameo meter to detonate the Smart Shuriken with a normal one. So do keep that in mind. It takes an entire Kameo meter just to get this setup. And if your opponent is not blocking, you guys are going to see that it actually launches the opponent if they are not blocking. So this acts as a combo launcher as well. It acts as the gravity of a normal back 2-3, so keep that in mind. You only hit one back 2-3 in there into like the normal combo stuff. But yeah, what is your counterplay as Takeda? I'll be honest, there is not much you can do once the Smart Shuriken is down, but I will give you guys some options, and for you Liu Kang players, you guys will know what to do just in case. So you guys are going to see that Liu Kang is going to do the setup against me. I'm going to wake up block and then try and armor through the Shuriken. Now I hit Liu Kang here for about 10% damage, but no matter how you try and punish him through this, whether it's through the Shuriken or through the front or back Kameo input, if you try and armor through the Shuriken part, you still take 12.6% damage, and Liu Kang takes about 10% damage, so you're still losing the trade. And if you did it through the front or back Kameo part, you guys are going to see that you get restood. Liu Kang only takes 9% damage and you still take the 12.6% damage. So there's not much you can do as a Takeda player. It's just you either knock down Liu Kang or you get restood yourself. It's literally the situation that you want to get put into. So as a Liu Kang player, just keep that in mind. That is Takeda's counterplay if he wants to use it. Other than that, what else do you get out of this? I'll just quickly show you guys. In the mid-screen, if you use a normal Shuriken, if you use a Smart Shuriken and then use a you know, normal Shuriken to detonator, you can keep the combo going. But if you go to, you guys will see the optimal combo part of the video. The optimal is like literally the optimal you're going to get without this setup. But only with this setup do you only get actually 2% more damage than what you would anyway. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for Shujinko against Takeda. You can see that the best move you clearly get is the Shuriken and the Smart Shuriken. Whether you want to count as two separate moves or one, it really doesn't matter. And then you get the whip move, which is okay, and then you get the tornado kick, which is just terrible. But yeah, would I recommend that you use Shujinko against Takeda? I don't highly recommend it if you're looking just to solely win. But if you're looking for something fun and try something new, absolutely. Like the Smart Shuriken setups in the corner is really funny. And I guarantee you, like, the Takeda player won't even know that it's plus and all that sort of thing. So, yeah. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of all the Combat Pack 1 characters. I know this video has also taken a while, but I have all the combos in here as well, so you guys don't have another video to go to. You can all just keep it in the one area. And once again, thank you if you have stuck around on this video for so long. I hope you really did learn something new about every single character with Shujinko. And please drop a like on the video. I know you guys have been doing well on that, and I thank you so much in advance for that. It's really helping with the YouTube algorithm and spreading my content to new people. So once again, yes, thank you. Yeah, as usual, if you have any questions or queries or anything like that to do with MK1, any character at all, mostly Liu Kang, of course, but if you have any questions about any cameo character, any main character, drop it in the comments below. I'll be guaranteed to answer your question within 24 hours. Guaranteed, absolutely. And please, if you guys learned anything new, do your boy a favor, hit the subscribe button. I know it costs you guys nothing, helps me out heaps. And yeah, we're on the road to 500 subs, so yeah. And make sure you hit the notification bell. You can always change it to all if you want to get all my notifications, or you can change it to personalized. And if you do that on this video, you'll only get sent my MK content. So there you go. You'll know what you want to get notified about on my channel. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to stop blabbing on now like I have been for so long and let you guys enjoy the combos. So yeah, catch you in the next one. See yous.